Continuing public hearing for 661-665 and 671 Washington Street. Site plan, special permit, planning board case 2016-09, which was continued from the August 24th, 2016. Mr. Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, members of the board, Edward Fleming on behalf of Jumbo Self-Storage. Again, this is a continued matter. Last time we were before this board, we made a full presentation of the proposal and specifically discussed and shared with the board significant measures that were taken to improve the architectural elements of the building. Architecture was a key issue of concern of the board and also of the department, specifically as a gateway project in the city. We made that full presentation, and since that time, we've had further discussions with the department about conditions that were important to the department and to this board, ensuring that all of the issues related to this, the peer review had been appropriately addressed. So we're confident and comfortable that we've done so. I've had discussions with Mr. Stevens, who I know is prepared to make a recommendation tonight. We don't have any additional information to provide to the board at this time. However, we're certainly here to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Fleming?
Yeah.
I do. Go ahead.
A bit of a business question. Mr. Fleming, what is the occupancy rate that they intend to run at once they get up and running? 80% of units rented, 60%?
What's the standard occupancy rate for the buildings like
We
this?
projected at 90. The top companies are running about 95.
So projected at 90% and indicating that many of the top companies are up to 95%.
Okay, so typical for similar businesses operating around here, they're running at 90 plus.
In the 90s.
Very helpful, thank you.
Except for the new one. The new self-storage that was built. It takes about 4 years to fill up.
It takes 4 years?
About 4 years.
And I think what was reported last time, if I remember correctly, was about 75% occupancy as of this date. So it's only been, I think, a couple of years that building's been open. So it anticipates 95%. And that extra space actually maintains, I believe, many of the facilities, many of the storage facilities in the city of Quincy. So they certainly see a demand for it as they continue to purchase these storage facilities.
Thank you.
Any other comments on the board? I'd like to read a email that was received by the department. It's dear Chairman and members of the board. Unfortunately, I'm unable to attend tonight's meeting due to a conflict with my day job. I wanted to provide some thoughts regarding the application for a storage facility located at 671 Washington Street. Some residents have shared with me that the storage facility is not the most optimal use for the property. On some level, I agree. However, I'm always aware that in a zoned industrial area, you're subject to a lot more undesirable business models coming into your neighborhood other than a self-storage facility. Self-storage businesses typically attract a low volume of traffic, which is something to seriously consider given the already high volume of traffic along the corridor. In addition, I believe that the investment into the area will be a needed update to the dilapidated boatyard that is currently there. The agreed upon landscape plan should enhance the aesthetic view along Washington Street. I also appreciate the applicant for making several noticeable architectural enhancements to the plan. Please keep in mind that I think it would be helpful to have a conversation regarding signage. This may be something you look to in condition, to look to condition within the permit. Thank you, Brad Kroll, Council. Yeah. Sure. Come on up.
Bill Shikara, 613, Love Street, Julia Bus. I don't agree with your numbers here about how many, how it's occupied. That other building, I went over there, it's not even a quarter full. It's got 900 units in it. It's been there 2 years and not even a quarter full. It's like, why do you need another one? That one's not even full yet. The other thing, the traffic. I drive a truck, I go by there twice a day, and I live there. And the traffic, they say there's not gonna be a problem with traffic, but excuse me, but there is. You know, any car, you know, any time of the day that wants to go into that spot, it's gonna get rear-ended at 55 miles an hour, because that's how fast the cars go, from one light to the light right before them to the road. I know, anybody that drives in Quincy can tell you how fast the cars go on that street. Someone was hit a couple of weeks ago on Washington Street, right in front of Wild Willie's on the street. So there is a traffic problem there. And also, we're not hearing anything about them. There's nothing else to say. I want to hear what they have to say about drainage. You open up that ground, you don't even know what's under it. They don't even want to test it. I don't hear anything about the EPA, anyone else coming to test that ground. You open up that parking lot that's had a flat top on it, straight into the river all these years. Where's the water going to go? Back towards us. What are they going to do to protect my property when they dig up that ground? They're going to put something down to keep water from going in my living room, because it's a townhouse and the living room's in the basement. What are they going to do for that? I don't hear nothing about the drainage. They had a 2-page letter, Mr. Fleming, got from the engineer in front of me about the problems that they have to correct about their drainage system. And what the engineer didn't like it. And you got a letter from the
All the
engineer.
results.
Well, the result, well, we haven't heard it in the meeting. You don't talk about any of that. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about a lot of things when you start building there? You know, in the boatyard, the boatyard's going to still be there. Yeah, they say they're getting rid of it now. They only took an acre and a half or 6.5 acres. So to say the boatyard's gone, it's still going to be there. It's going to be right in front of the building. Right when you come over the bridge, you see the boats and you see the building. They're the last thing you see. Then you see our houses. So I think the numbers here and what they have to say about the occupancy, 4 years, they ain't gonna fill up 1,075 units. I'm sorry, we already have enough self-storage in Quincy. That's all I have to say. Right? Thank you.
Okay, I think you may be interested to hear our peer reviewer and some of his comments. Mr. White, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, probably should have had you speak first here.
Good evening. My name is Jim White. I'm with the engineering firm of H.W. Moore Associates. We performed 3 peer reviews on this project. The initial peer review was on June 16. We issued a peer review. We commented on a number of issues, including utilities, storm drainage, the site layout, handicap compliance, sewer water pipes. New plans were issued. We formed a second peer review. At that point, almost all comments were adequately addressed. We did issue our second peer review on August 12th, and they issued revised drawings, which addressed all of our comments. The proposed project will comply with all DEP stormwater management requirements. It will mitigate the flow of stormwater off the site. We'll also remove 80% of the total, more than 80% of the total suspended solids. The stormwater from the site flows through an existing piping system underneath the boatyard out to the easterly direction. We've asked them to survey, on a video survey of that pipe to ensure that it's in good condition prior to during the construction of the project. We're confident the storm drainage system will work adequately on this project. We made 2 recommendations for the project. One was videotaping the stormwater as part of the stormwater piping system as part of the approval of the project, and the second one was to consider increasing the radius of the curb off Washington Street to help traffic move into the site a little easier, and that's will be one of the conditions of the approval. They were good to that with the city. Other than that, the plans were very well done and thought, and I addressed all that. Thank you.
Any questions from the board? Ms. Watts? Carol?
Is there, so does the peer review address any concerns, environmental concerns?
We did not review the environmental concerns. They did submit information on that. know, part of the site was an old casting station. We did not, but it's part of our project. We do not have expertise in that field, so we do not review it.
I'm concerned about, you know, what could be there at that site relative to lead paint, certainly from the boatyard, or, like you said, there was previously a petroleum facility, so.
If I may address that, there was a 21E done on the site.
Okay.
And that 21E report has been provided to the department for their review, and there's a condition within the decision that there'll be further monitoring of the soils during the construction process, and any reporting to DEP as deemed appropriate.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, on this testing of the ground, they're talking about a gas station that closed down 20 years ago. They're not talking about the boatyard, where the shipyard was on for 100 years. That's the land that needs to be tested, not this testing from a gas station that's been closed down for 20 years. That's been going on for 20 years. So you have further testing, they're gonna monitor it. They haven't tested the ground where the boatyard is.
Yes, we did.
You did?
We did.
That's my non-environmental opinion. Anyone else wants to speak? Let me go back to the board. Any other questions from the board? I just have one, and it deals with the caliper of the trees. I think you've got to increase the caliper of those trees there. They'll go over in a minor windstorm. Okay? I think they need to be bigger. I think they need to be, I don't know, what are you expecting now for the caliper of those?
2 inch caliper. We're happy to increase the caliper of trees. That's conditional approval.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
We're perfectly happy to increase the caliper of trees, conditional approval.
Well, I spoke with the department about this as well, and certainly there's an interest in responding to the concerns of the department to ensure that the caliber is appropriate. The goal was to have really dramatically improved landscaping. So we'll increase the caliber of the trees to what the department thinks is reasonable. I think we talked about 4-inch caliber trees.
4.5.
That's acceptable.
5.5. I'd like to see it go to 5.5, but that's just me.
I'll do that.
Anybody else wishes to speak? Please, come on up. Identify yourself.
My name is Eileen Norris, 613 South State Unit 4. It's been very interesting to me. But when on the DPW, when I first got there, I was getting these amazing amounts of water bills. So I went down there. It took me forever sitting in front of the woman that's underneath the head of the DPW. And first I found the place, and then I go, I don't have a washing machine in the job. So this went on, and I was getting like percentages on the taxes, and so what happened was where they went in, on the ODA, and you got 1896, and the thing came up like that, and then they said, so they just overwent them, but it took a long time, and then they put down one that reads up to a satellite, but it took like, first they wouldn't let them into like the, you know, Dorothy's, like, you know, thing you looked up on the, you know, and the was thing to go down to the tree truck. That when I read about the water, they're gonna like go in between everybody's property to get to the main water. If I'm not mistaken, on South Street, connect to the main pipes. Because I had an awful time with the DPW. I was, you know, you people seem like it's like just a snap. I was like, not a bad time. We sat there and talked about life and everything. I said, no, really, you really get it. And then I got an abatement. But it's going to run along. Is it correct in my thinking that they're going to dig along all sides? Because there is no connecting water to the main water pipes, which I don't know what years they go back to. And then on the one on Washington Street and South Street. Just kind of wondering about that. They are going to go between, did I read that correctly when I saw the did dot. They go between the properties and they dig and they connect onto the main water pipes. Is that how they're doing it?
I assume they're coming over on Eastern.
they're gonna be, there is no storage there, so they have to come right out into the, they have to dig up in between everybody's property and run pipes. That's a lot of digging.
Gas station
A lot of digging. But when I read, when I could figure out, I started yelling out the dig dot, I went, wow, we're gonna go in between every property and dig out and connect onto the main thing. And I sat there forever trying to connect that, you know, DPW has increased their potentials and such, so, on the abatement thing. That's all I need to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishes to speak? Or wishes to be recorded? Who hasn't spoken? Okay, since there isn't anyone else who wishes to speak, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Mr. Stevens.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. I have here a recommendation. You did hear from the peer reviewer that this project was reviewed, and there was a significant back and forth with this project, and the applicant has satisfied the department and the review to this point. This case is a threefer. It's 3 special permits. It's under section 3.1.3, major non-residential use, under 5.1.17, parking waiver, and 5.3.13. I am prepared to make an affirmative recommendation on all 3. I'd be happy to entertain any questions on the department's recommendation from the board members pertaining to each one of those realms.
Why don't you,
Okay, I have a series of conditions. I think to the public comments, we tried to ensure that you know, the public will be protected by the development of this building. So in my recommendation for approval, the first condition, number 1, prior to the start of construction and after the completion of the project, the applicant shall have the existing sewer main and downstream stormwater drain pipes on Reed Avenue and associated manholes inspected using a video camera and tested for integrity. Results of these inspections shall be submitted to the Department of Public Works for their review, and the applicant shall be responsible for any upgrades needed to the existing infrastructure as a result of any recommendations made by the DPW. Number 2, the applicant will pursue a larger curb cut radius with the city's Department of Public Works prior to the start of construction in order to create an access that can better accommodate large trucks. Condition number 3, there shall be no outside storage or rental of vehicles, large equipment, storage pods, or other similar containers allowed at this site. The applicant has indicated that only sales of items associated with moving and storage will be conducted within the building. Number 4, the applicant shall submit a copy of the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination Permit, commonly referred to as NPDES, as required by the EPA to the Planning Department for its files. I'm going to pause right there. My next condition deals with existing trees. At part of the conversation, a minimum of 4-inch caliper. I could add it to this condition if the board so chooses. So, number 5, there have been 3 trees identified along the western property line of the site that are over 8-inch caliper trees. These trees are to remain in place. Any variation from this plan shall require the approval of the city tree warden. Number 6, it was agreed that the location of this project is a gateway to the city of Quincy. The planning board is sensitive to the impact of the building on the landscape of the area. The planning board has agreed to a particular architectural design of the building. No substantial deviations from the approved architectural design shall be allowed without the approval of the planning board. During the building permit application review or the construction phase, any minor modifications that arise may be approved by both the Director of Inspectional Services and the Planning Director. Number 7, the applicant has submitted a Phase 1 environmental site assessment and Phase 2 site investigative reports. Based on the concentrations of contaminants of concerns, or COCs, identified in these reports, the applicant shall be responsible for preparing a soil management plan to outline on-site soil management procedures during construction and the requirements for testing and off-site reuse if fill material is to be removed from the site. In addition, they will complete an on-site screening during soil excavation in order to confirm disturbed soils does not appear significantly more impacted than indicated in the Phase 2 SI results. A copy of the soil management plan shall be submitted to the Planning Department and to the Department of Health prior to any land disturbance activities. Provided that the special permit on signage is issued under 5.3.13 for the proposed wall signs, the applicant shall submit to the Director of Inspectional Services for approval final sign detail plan or plans and specifications. The applicant shall be required to obtain any necessary sewer connection permit, stormwater management permit, and street opening permits from the Department of Public Works. Number 10, the City of Quincy may, at its discretion, use consultants to supplement city staff for, but not limited to, the purpose of construction observation. The cost of these services shall be paid for by the applicant from the peer review escrow account through the Planning Department. The escrow account shall be funded to 50% of the original peer review fee of $15,000 30 days prior to any land disturbance activities. Number 11, it is crucial that any activities proposed for this development not cause rodent problems for abutters. Prior to obtaining a demolition or building permits, the applicant must submit a rodent control plan to the Department of Health for review and approval at least 10 days prior to any site activities. Rodent control practices must continue for the duration of the construction phase of this project. Number 12, the applicant shall develop a dust control plan to be implemented during any site activities to ensure compliance with state air quality regulations. Number 13, the applicant shall commit to conformance with both local and state regulations regarding noise, since this project is within a residential neighborhood and construction could create noise-generating activities. The applicant shall submit a pre-demolition survey to the Health Department for any potential asbestos-containing materials to be conducted by a licensed DLI certified inspector. If asbestos-containing materials is present, it must be removed by a licensed contractor, and a post-abatement inspection must be performed by a DLI certified project monitor. Number 15, the applicant shall submit a formal letter and revised plan with the final plan set that details the internal vehicular traffic signs and their location. Number 16, the applicant shall submit a construction management plan to the traffic engineer for review and approval at the same time that the building permit application is submitted for review by the Inspectional Services Department. Review of the construction management plan will take a minimum of 2 weeks. Number 17, the construction management plan shall include, but is not limited to, the following items. Provide a description of any work being done in the street and provide traffic management plan to perform this work for approval by the city's traffic engineer. Traffic management plans for any sidewalk replacement, curb, ramps, and utility construction. Truck routes for deliveries to and from the highway with appropriate hours and days of delivery. Construction signage, construction work hours and days. Erosion control plan including construction entrance and fencing. Schedule of work being done on-site and off-site with regards to traffic-related items. Location of construction fencing and gate on the plan with crushed stone apron. Length of construction. The detour route for vehicles if needed. The route for pedestrians included any ADA requirements, signage, and safety requirements. Construction site plan for barrier and signage. And the following statement should be included in the plan. Quote, provide the city's traffic engineer 3 business days notice that construction will begin, end quote. Number 18, the post-construction operations and maintenance manual plan for the dry wells and all related drainage structures and site maintenance, which includes the ownership and responsible parties, shall be recorded at the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds as part of the planning board decision. Number 19, upon completion of this project, the applicant shall submit to the city engineering office and planning department as-built plans showing all utilities, building footprints, reference bounds, and benchmarks defining the total site, facilities, and rights-of-way. Plan shall be submitted in a digital format acceptable to the city engineering office and planning department. Number 20, the hours for construction activities will be as follows: 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, and all construction and delivery shall be prohibited on Sunday unless a different schedule is approved by the chief of police. That's the end of my conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Board members, any questions? I would ask, and I go back to that, probably more appropriate in condition number 5, where you're talking about the trees that are already there. I would like the insertion of all new trees shall be a minimum of 4 to 4.5 inch caliper trees, subject to the department's approval. And under 9, which presently reads, the applicant shall be required to obtain all necessary sewer connection permit, stormwater management permit, and street opening permit from the Department of Public Works prior to the approval of a building permit, which may be SOP, but.
All right, those changes will be made.
Any other comments? A motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve, subject to the conditions read in the record and as enhanced by the chair.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.